the public has lost confidence in this president's ability to handle the economy for the sake of our jobs. Will you step down from your post?
I agree with almost nothing in what you said, and I think almost nothing in what you said represents a fair and accurate perception of where this economy is today. What I can't take responsibility is for the legacy of crises you bequeathed this country. Your budget. You gave this president an economy falling off the cliff.
Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner defending himself against Republican Congressman Kevin Brady on Capitol Hill yesterday, the day that Congressman Ron Paul's bill to open up the secretive Federal Reserve to be audited also passed, the day that the public university system in California announced it's hiking tuition high enough to count as an economic wedgie for the state's 200,000 students because California basically is broke. I think right now you're looking at police moving in on this is a live shot of police moving towards student protesters who are massed on the campus of the University of California at Berkeley. Wide shot there, you can see the mass of students there. This makes me feel like saying, even on the eve of big game, go Cal. Economic pain, economic literacy, and economic populism are the new normal questions for a nation coming out of the Great Recession right now. Joining us once again, Eliot Spitzer, former New York State Attorney General and Governor, Anna Marie Cox, national correspondent and host of Inside Story on Air America Radio, and Nate Silver from 538.com. Governor, you want Tim Geithner's head on the proverbial pike. You have not been shy about saying.
I haven't said it quite that way. So that's not the image I like, but yeah.
You're just talking about violent rhetoric.
Proverbial pike.
Right.
Listen, but, I mean, aren't we coming out of the recession, and we still have a financial sector, and they're going to wind down the bailout at some point, and we're getting a new regulatory regime? Aren't the big picture things he's working on going in the right direction?
No.
Okay.
No. Here's the problem. Yes, we saved the big banks from going bankrupt by giving them trillions of dollars of taxpayer money. We did not ask anything back from them in terms of reform, in terms of lending, in terms of creating jobs, in terms of reviving an economy where unemployment is going up, our deficit is skyrocketing, our trade deficit is huge, the opportunities down the road are increasing. And I said to somebody this morning, when the president went to China, China dealt with us the way a grown-up would deal with a teenager who would misspend his allowance. We are in a position where if AIG was too big to fail for us, we are too big to fail for China. They're financing us to ease their way out and let us down slowly. They have not come up with a way to get the economy going, nor put in place the reforms we need. And what Tim said when he was testifying wasn't quite accurate. He was the one, as president of the New York Fed, who put in place the bailouts that didn't work properly because we didn't get anything back, and he oversaw the banks when they were getting over-leveraged and when this system was building up to the point where it then crashed.
Can we get anything meaningful that would have an effect on the economy out of the guilty parties and the people you think ought to be able to get it? You think we can still get it now?
They're not lending. In other words, when we gave them trillions of dollars, why did we not say, you must reform mortgages? This administration didn't lift a finger to give bankruptcy judges the capacity to reform mortgages. They didn't go to the banks to say, in return for the trillions of dollars we're giving you, we're guaranteeing all your debt, preserving your equity, write down mortgages. 14% of all mortgages are either delinquent or in foreclosure right now. Forget moral hazard. The banks have moral hazard. The borrowers have moral hazard. Right now, to get the economy going, they should have done that. They didn't. They have Larry Summers, Tim Geithner have a Wall Street perspective. Give Goldman its $12.9 billion. Read the Inspector General report. It makes your skin crawl.
Let me have all three of you watch a very short clip. This is the CEO of Goldman yesterday at a financial forum. Goldman, obviously worried about its image, is being mentioned in a lot of sentences like the one you just uttered. They're donating $500 million, which is roughly 2.5% of its bonus fund this year, to small business development. Let me have you watch the CEO of Goldman here.
Listen, there was a lot of negligent behavior, and I think that there is going to be, and it is warranted that there be, changes in regulation that tighten things up. We've learned a lot, or should have learned a lot. I know I've learned a lot from this, and certainly our industry is responsible for things. We're a leader in our industry, and we participated in things that were clearly wrong, and we have reasons to regret and apologize for.
Regret and apologize for.
A teachable moment.
Here's the thing. They got $12.9 billion in the counterparty payments. 3 times as much as Arne Duncan has to reform our schools, 1.5 times as much as we're putting into our high-speed rail investments in the stimulus package. Just to one firm, they shouldn't have gotten at most half of it. It's insane. The White House has not put the right people in charge of our economy.
In terms of the politics here, either of you, looking at what Goldman is saying there, they're clearly desperate to do something, to not be seen as part of this. The White House has exactly the same problem that they do. They need to take real action. They have bigger responsibilities than Goldman does, and they have to worry about the political blowback. What's the best way to put their money where their mouth is?
I think to have a jobs program. There's actually extra money left in the TARP fund, in part because it's gone, in some ways, better than we thought. It didn't totally blow up. There's about $200 billion. If you put that into a jobs program, you could reduce the unemployment rate by maybe 2 or 3% with a well-designed, highly targeted program just to create jobs, no window dressing or anything else. You know, that's what they have to do if they want to get reelected, frankly, in 2010.
Anna Marie, I am conscious of the fact that in the context of all this stuff, there's the Ron Paul bill also passing. You see end the Fed, audit the Fed, stop the stimulus, end the bailouts. You see that kind of economic populism being represented not only at the Tea Parties, but also it's got support on the left and across the board. Is it know-nothingism? Or is there a coherent alternative they're pushing for?
I worry that it's know-nothingism. I worry that it simply it's a financial version of the anger and the sort of violent rhetoric that we were talking about before. I hope that it can actually coalesce around something, around a real economic populism, which has always been a disconnect in the I'm about to say Conservative Party. They basically are the Conservative Party. But there's been a disconnect, covered by Tom Frank in What's the Matter with Kansas, between conservative, social policy and conservative economic policy. And this would be an interesting time to try and see conservatives or Republicans really embrace a true economic populism. It might have some resonance.
Eliot Spitzer, Nate Silver, Anna Marie Cox, thanks to all of you for being here tonight. I hope it has been about half as fun for you as it has been for me, because if it was more fun than that, there would be an explosion. Thank you all for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.